So I'm looking, so the long term is like, let's get some low income housing in here, and then it's like, well, that's gonna attract more people from other areas into here. Well, let's put stipulations on it where we take care of the people right here in our immediate area and not allow people from the outside to just come in here and take up all this area. So at least we take care of the people of Hemet first.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are struggling, homeless, single mothers in these shelters, that we take care of them first. You know, I know I keep pointing up here.
Yeah, but what about reestablishing a housing, not officer, but a dedicated staff person to housing issues to be getting in?
Well,
Assistance for, say, some of the, because you got mobile home parks and stuff like that, that would aid them to refurbish their places so they don't go downhill. That kind of stuff.
well, I think that's a really good idea. What needs to be looked at first is where's the money going, and how is that going to allow for that? Because I believe that the position was eliminated because of money issues, correct?
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna figure out like where is this money going, where we need to get more money and how we can get more money in, and focus on generating revenue so that we can get more staff. My opponent talked about streamlining, getting business license and stuff like that, in one of the videos. But I don't know how that's going to happen if we can't even hire more people. It looks like we only have one individual here in Hemet that is responsible for that, whereas in surrounding cities there's at least three. Like at least in Paris, I know there's 3 individuals handling all that, and Hemet does more of these licenses than the other cities. So it would appear that, first of all, I need to figure out with the other councilmen where's this money going at for real, and then how can we allocate, like distribute funds wherever they need to distribute them, and then focus on getting more revenue in here by working with what we have. Some of the things that are going on in the municipal is like, could we give that or relinquish that to some of these nonprofits out here, and churches, so that it relieve some of the stress financially on the city. And then after that, find ways to work with the nonprofits and the churches to make, at least if we can't get someone to be in that position, that they could work with other agencies like Home Connect and some of these other, like Housing First, that could help with maintaining some of these structures and things like that. I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
Does
That's
it?
fine. There are so many avenues because there's grant money and stuff like that could come in that the city needs to be aware. I'm also aware that, say, in our police department, they don't have enough staff in HR to process the new hires, to do the checks, to do that. So we're not getting police on the street, even though we've allocated and trained them.
Which I thought is kind of a little weird, because it's like, okay, we have supposedly some money for public safety, but why do we only have 76 officers?
That's a question.
I want to get in there and make sure that this stuff is addressed.
Yeah.
It's like, let's stop talking about what's happening and let's make some things happen. We told these people, hey, this is where the money's going to go, this is what we're going to use it for. Let's do it.
Well, from the times I've sat in on City Hall, it's the retention of the police and fire. And it is also on-the-job work injuries. Because as I understand it, our police force is actually one of the first in Riverside County to use body cams and has had a history of de-escalation rather than running in there. So Would you allocate having mental health teams go in with the police force?
Yes, and there's actually already like a system in place where I've seen an individual with I don't know what it's called, maybe it's a bulletproof vest that says psychologist on it.
Mm.
And so I've seen it, and I've actually spoken with him and asked him like, what did he do to get in this position? And he talked about like, well, sometimes the officers meet with people who are mentally, at a disadvantage, and it helps when you have someone who understands that on the spot to help with the de-escalation. So I'm in great support for having more of that happening. If you have, if the police officer's partner is a mental health, he doesn't have to be a psychologist. He could just be someone trained in applied behavioral analysis.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be that high. But somebody who's willing to go out there and work with this type of population is the same one that worked with the population with the at-risk kids through applied behavioral analysis. So I think it'd be really nice if the police would partner with, like the Department of Social Services to, maybe instead of sending police officers to a domestic violence call, that they send a type of social worker. I don't want to say it's the social worker, but a type of social worker with that ABA background too. And then when they make contact with the family, then they can issue services on the spot, and get them into a position where, if husband and wife, now they're communicating instead of, continuing this fight, because sometimes it gets overlooked, and people over time, it's like they fall into these habits. So to me, that's prevention for further, someone dying on accident, or going so far where a child gets hurt at the same time. So I'm very for the police department working with mental health specialists to go on calls and things like that.
I think that's fine.
You stop, okay? Stop there for just a second.